go. So we'll get to him in a second. I wanted to say a couple of things. Number one, today is impossible without our friends at the SBDC, Jim Carroll, Hampton Roads SBDC. They're one of our sponsors. And then also 80/20. Where's 80/20?
He's in the bathroom.
The bathroom?
Yeah.
Come on, man. They provided your beverages and ice to keep them cold today, so thank you to the team there. They're a team full of programmers that can build some awesome stuff for you. Check them out in that office right there. If you guys are interested in coming to coffee next Tuesday, and every coffee, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. here at Hatch. It's free. Don't come looking for great coffee, though, because you won't get it. But you will get free coffee. But you come for the conversations. And it's a great time. A lot of you guys come. And then I was going to say something about EO, but Chip just walked away, so I won't say anything about them. EO is a great organization, and we hope that a lot of the people at Hatch turn into EO members because they're 4% of the. All right, messed up. Done.
Words are hard.
Words are hard.
He needs good coffee.
He needs what?
Good coffee.
Good coffee. So EO, to get into EO, you have to have a couple employees, try and better the community, but also you have to have $1 million in gross revenue. And if you hit that 1 million mark in annual piece, you're one of the top 4% companies in the world. So our goal for all of our companies in Hatch is to become members of EO, or at least hit that threshold to do it. So it's cool to have Frank here for their doing that. You guys remember Chip?
Yep.
And Daniel from last time. So without further ado, there we go. We can't start for like a minute. We have to do like a minute of this. You gotta get up there that
Steve Ballmer.
Yes, Steve Ballmer. I have too much hair for that. That's 80/20. Thank you for the beverages today. 80/20. Programming extraordinaires. Ladies and gentlemen, you may have heard of the man, the myth, the legend, with a new hairstyle, Bo Turner.
Thanks everybody for joining us today. Especially, I think the previous speakers had some really powerful lines on that. Zach asked me to speak on resilience, and what that means. Most of my talks are generally about community. If you don't know, I run 757 Makerspace. That's probably my latest venture. If you're not familiar with that, it's a big giant warehouse in the middle of Ghent. I said we're right in the heart of Ghent, and it allows you to come in here and use it like a community workshop and a prototyping center. So if there's anything that you wanted to make and create, you can come here to learn how to do it. And if you don't know how to do stuff, we'll teach you enough to be dangerous. And that's really the premise behind that. So it is a benefit corporation, or what's known as a B Corp. And what's interesting about that is it means that we're not a nonprofit. We are a for-profit organization with a social purpose and a social cause. And for us, our piece is to be able to teach people to design, manufacture, and create things. So ultimately, it's a maker's dream to be able to come in here. And the space really started out, we kind of talk about resilience and really how this applies. So my background is, if you look at sort of where you kind of build yourself up from. So I am a divorced father of 2 boys. My oldest is now 11, my youngest is 8. So single. I've had one other tech company, technically 2 tech companies, 3 tech companies if you look at it in the past. My background was originally architecture. Anyways, everybody's got different paths to be able to get to where you're at. But no matter what life throws in front of you, you're able to get through that. And so I had this idea for the makerspace, and I kind of took this and I pitched it at Start Norfolk. I can't remember, might have been Start Norfolk 3. No, that was Zombie Tag was 1 and 2. I think we did Zombie Tag at 3, so that was my other company with us. And then, so we go there, we play Zombie Tag still, but I wanted to take this other idea of something that was a little bit bigger. It's one thing, so my previous company, we had this idea, which was we solved a technical challenge, but we didn't know what the right problem was to find how to make that piece stick. So that's sort of a long-term piece to be able to, make money with that part. So it's a real interesting engine on that side. But, the other piece was, how do we make this, community workshop where people can come in to be able to make and create how do you teach people? So I looked at that and solved it. One is with my two boys. They're really important to me. Obviously, everybody's kids are important to you, and they do represent our future. When kids go to be able to make and create things, they've got no limitation. So if you give them a set of tools, they're really unlimited. So we look, today they've got cell phones, they've got 3D printer access. There's all these different things around to be able to help them to do that. And some kids may be financially restricted. They might not have access to that 3D printer immediately. They may be able to go to the local library system or some of the other groups in the area here to be able to use tools like this. A lot of school systems are getting into this. So they'll be around these tools if they're not already, and they can use them in some pretty powerful ways. And when we look at these tools, they can also change people's lives. So we've worked with a group called Enable. We've made 2 hands so far. And if you're not familiar, these are prosthetic hands that you can 3D print, put them right around a child's hand. If they have just a little bit of wrist motion, and generally they have some kind of a birth defect or something happen later where they can bend their hand just a little bit, or at least this part of the muscle. And with a $50 investment in material, they can actually have a working hand. And these are more powerful, better suited for kids, and also upgradable than some of the $100,000 prosthetic arms that are out there. It doesn't have any electronics or any other thing like that. So when you look at terms like that, resiliency really starts to apply itself in different ways. So in my terms, I started this piece, I pitched it on a Friday night, kind of had the idea just before then, and the idea was to show traction. So when I say traction, I'm going to look at Zach about this piece because, Start Norfolk is a really interesting opportunity for people to take and build something. You'll find your next business partners. You'll find other people to lean on during the dark times, during the happy times to be able to work with. And this was another one of those. We've been with Start Norfolk since the very first one. And so I pitched this. We made it through Friday night, continued on, showed traction, went out, secured a building, secured all this stuff, and got everything ready for launch. We didn't win. We got no financial capital. So come Monday, we're ready to go. And, there's still this much money in the pocket, right? It's zero sitting inside of here. So you have to figure out now how you're going to fund something like this idea. And a lot of times, for some people, that might be your stopping point if you even took that first step. So really that first step in resiliency is the most important part, just take it. And the same thing goes, I'll kind of go back and forth a little bit, but when people are actually making and creating at the makerspace, they'll come in and there's a lot of stuff in here to kind of take in. It's like a 6,500 square foot warehouse. So when you walk in, there's everything from laser cutters to 3D printers to CNC machines to a full wood shop, metal shop, t-shirt machines, kilns, all this kind of stuff inside of here. And it can be a little daunting if you've never worked with this stuff. And so what we say is, take it one bite at a time, figure out a project or something you want to work on, make it bite-sized, kind of like eating the elephant. You don't have to know everything or be a specialist in all of this, but learn just what you need, and you'll learn a few more skills. And I'll tell a few stories of people that have done that through here. But backing up, so that first week, I had one other friend and a partner, other piece, my friend Trevor. And so, Trevor comes to the makerspace and he's helping me get this piece up and running. So for 5 days, all we did was clean this big giant warehouse. So you take that leap of faith that says, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and pay this piece. I've got no outside capital that I'm taking in. I'm not looking for investors. I'm just going to make it happen. So we secured the building first. It sat vacant for 10 years. So it was really nice and dirty. And it literally took me and Trevor 5 days, 8 to 12-hour days just to do that. And if you look back at early pictures, it's nothing but bare bones floor. We finally got a chance to go and paint some areas inside of here for the floor. Did a little bit of build out, and all of this was bootstrapped the whole way. So we believe in the concept of agile development. And if you know what that is in the software world, that means that you've got a design sprint you're going through. Instead of waiting a year in software development, you're trying to get this out there as quick as you can to let people see it, get feedback, and make improvements and make it better. And so we believe in the physical embodiment of that. And so the makerspace has done that. Every 2 weeks we get a design sprint. The space gets better. So if you were there last month and you didn't like it, come back this month. It's better. If you don't like it, then come back another month. We've gone through 2 design sprints during those times. So the other interesting thing is we want people to see this. So we do this thing called Open Build Night. So it's the first Friday of each month. They get a chance to kind of come and see. It's our way to kind of have an open house. People share stuff, and it's sort of like show and tell, right? So people bring things in, they share it, they show it. And the other thing for us is, or the piece that helps me get through that resiliency part is to hear people go, oh, you've got this now. Oh, here's what I can do. And so kind of that physical reaction I get when they keep saying, space gets better, this is now better, these areas have improved. Sometimes it's a physical change, it's equipment additions, or layouts, or just different things that we do to that. So lots of different ways that you can hit that, but it's that getting past the first step. So for me, it was that leap of faith that says, I'll make that piece happen. We'll figure out how to fund all this later on. And so there, you have to have at least a decent idea. This one, I didn't do a huge business plan or anything like that. So when everybody says, you got to have business plans and you got to spend 5 years pitching that business plan, I didn't do that. I just believed in this idea enough that I wanted to make it. It's something that I needed. It's something that my friends needed. It's something that the community needed, and something that kids need. I would say college kids need this as well. We got a lot of ODU students and some other local colleges, and more importantly, is adults need this to be able to help jumpstart a business. So I don't believe in free handouts or things like that to give to people, but if they can pay a small fee, just like a gym membership, you say it's a gym membership to your brain. And now you get access to things that you can prototype and build your business with. So when it first started out, I took every single tool that I had. So after week 1, we've got, all the floors are swept, but we can now walk inside of here. And I took every tool that I had from my homework shop. So you can imagine in a 6,500 square foot warehouse that used to fit inside of an 8 foot by 10 foot shed, how much tools were really inside of here. So, and the space has grown out. For some of you, there's a lot of people who've been by there, kind of seen what's grown in the last 19 months as we've been open with that. And so things just continue to get better. You really have to believe in that stuff. So as far as resiliency, everybody gets knocked down. I've got really bad days, and I'll tell you, not this past winter, but that first winter. So we opened in September, and things were pretty good. We had a couple people join. The first people are always your friends and your family. So Steve, one of my partners, was the very first member. He wants me to make sure I tell everybody that. So he continues that. And there's a few more.
Steve.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. Wolverine Steve. And so, kind of continuing on. So we went pretty well in that first winter, and in a big giant warehouse with one of our coldest winters that we've had yet, things get pretty cold pretty quick. And so it's hard to entice people to come in this big giant open warehouse with very few tools and, one heated room that everybody kind of gathers inside of. And so things got pretty thin. We got pretty creative with ways. We started doing a few more outside projects to be able to fund that piece. I'd say one other way was just kind of involving people from the community. There's a lot of people that were looking for meeting space, creative locations, just to be creative. When you walk in here, this building used to be the design center for architecture. And so if you're kind of looking at the way this is put together, it's very appealing. And so if you can make places that are appealing and feel kind of cool to go into, and we looked at this and said, how can we make a warehouse cool? And it's been a real slow process to get there, but I think it's starting to feel, a little better. Things are kind of zoned out a little bit more. You can see, different signage or locations where these different areas are. Where's the wood shop? Where's the metal shop? Whereas before it was just kind of here and slowly started growing. We had everything from friends coming in, just renting the space for 2 hours for $35 to have a class inside of here. I mean, things like that. You look at that and you kind of think, what does $35 do? Well, $35 sure made, kept the internet going that month, or, when bills had to be paid, that kind of stuff really made a big difference. So I can't say enough that, the friends that really participate in that kind of stuff, I didn't say how important, every $35 was, but that made a huge difference, in the middle of winter, right there, in the thick of things. And then things were starting to get, pretty good. We knew about when winter's going to stop, things start to warm up. And then we have that extra cold spell. Winter stayed 1 month too long the year before last, and it was very cold, and it just instantly changed, right? It went from just blizzard cold to just beautiful warm weather, nice to be outside, and that was a real thin month. So it's kind of looking at that going, all right, we're starting to run out of runway here. How are we going to make this piece happen? So in terms of resilience, just reaching out to people, trying to find, we did everything from classes. We've had this thing ongoing every Saturday called Makerspace Cadets. So I believe that kids and finances shouldn't be a restriction for kids to be able to learn. So if we do something pretty inexpensive, so it's $10, right? So it's cheaper than a babysitter to have for an hour and a half, drop them off at Makerspace. But that $10 from each one of those kids, so we had the internet on from a couple of other meetings. This helped to pay the rent inside of here. And, we made a difference inside the community. So that first year we did 50 kids classes within a year to be able to do that. So there's 2 weeks that we didn't do it. Then we started branching out to more adult classes and other pieces. So that combination and reaching out and helping people to make a difference, and that folks that come back month after month, week after week, or the ones that come in and join as a membership, but they're not going to be there if you don't take that first step. So as I said that earlier, if you go through that pitch stage or that idea stage, and some of you might maybe just there at that idea part, you've taken that first step. That's the biggest piece. That next step is the most critical, and you'll get through that cold winter. You just got to believe in it. You got to push through it. And if you've got your own virtues inside that you believe in, you'll keep making that piece. That's your first winner that you have to get through. Second winner, easy peasy. Have a little bit of money, things are comfortable. Next year will be even better. I've already bought heaters for the space for next year. So, you can start planning these things kind of slowly as they go across, but it's really important to, get past that first stage. So I call it the nuclear winter. If you can get past nuclear winter, you're in good shape after that. So I could keep talking a little more about that. I know Zach said keep it a little bit short. How are we doing time-wise?
We only talked for 9 minutes.
Was it?
Yeah. All right, Bo Turner, everyone. Thank you so much.
All right. Any questions anybody has?
Oh, no questions. Sorry, Bo.
Chuck.
So you mentioned that you did have the slow period.
Yeah.
What did you use to keep yourself motivated? I mean, you said you just keep persisting, but what did you use? What types of tools did you use to keep persisting?
Yeah, gosh, that's a great question. I can tell you that I remember sitting in this giant cold warehouse with just enough heat, double socks, and I'm wearing like 3 sweatshirts and a jacket, and I'm convincing myself to stay here for the day, right? Like you're like, I could kind of be anywhere else. Is anybody going to come in today? And it's a pretty dark day when you're not sure if anybody's going to show up. Some people have paid memberships, right? So there's at least that little bit of money that is out there, but that's not going to pay for the entire year for this kind of stuff. You have to find ways to be creative. So for me, it was picking something new, and that's also one of the ways that kind of helps me to grow as a person creatively. So I've learned everything from mold making to blacksmithing. So I pick a different topic that I've never learned. And like the speaker before me, kind of mentioned just YouTube. So, I watched the heck out of a lot of YouTubes during that time. Since we could afford the internet, YouTube was still streaming here. So we were able to watch this kind of stuff, get a little bit of inspiration. Everybody's inspired by something. If you want to learn how to do calligraphy, this week it's calligraphy. If you want to learn how to do, mold making and casting and duplicating parts, hey, YouTube's great, Instructables are great, and nothing's better than doing that and then actively putting your hands into it to say, how does this really work to get that experience? So there was an awful lot of that, and it was everything from, 1 week. I remember 3 days that Trevor's like, you know what? Origami is really cool. And so there's me and Trevor locked in a room, or not locked in a room. We're in one room that has a little bit of heat, and he goes, let's learn origami. So we sit down and learn origami for the week. We teach a kids class on origami. We teach an adults class on origami. We start this on Tuesday. By Saturday, we're experts in this. So we just kept doing this. And so it went from there. I can tell you this year, it was blacksmithing. So I've always watched these videos. And last year I took a trip, or year before last, I took a trip with Joe Fournier. We went up to Pennsylvania and did an artist retreat. So, 4 hours, I got to be a blacksmith. So I've got 4 hours of experience. It's 4 hours of experience more than this person has. So I could actively speak to hitting it. So we decided we want to do that part, met up, sometimes happenstance. When you're looking for things like that, someone will walk in the door, and it's going to be, this person that has that knowledge. For us, it was this guy, Nathan. So Nathan walks in, he's Nathan Blacksmith. And he goes, hey, I came to this event, and I happen to be a blacksmith. I'm like, we were just talking about blacksmithing. And he goes, oh, what a coincidence. I just brought all of my gear. And so he's got it in the back of his truck, and it's during one of the open build nights, just an hour before. He goes, do you mind if I set up? Come on in. So we open up the back. Nathan comes in, he sets up that night, and this is awesome. Let's do a class together. He goes, I'd love to teach a class. And it just worked out from there. So there's a lot of situations where you meet other people, and I'm never going to be an expert in this. So my job or my role is as a facilitator. So I like community. I like building people up, and I like helping them to take an idea, and if there's a challenge, solving that challenge. That's the part that kind of keeps me going, is that challenge on the creative side. So it could be that someone gets, they need to mass produce 1,000 widgets or something. Like I just had a conversation with Chris McCoot over here. Chris is talking about he needs to make this part. Here's the process he's going through now. We back and forth with the experience that I've got or experience that other people have brought to the space. I'm now able to connect him to a few more people or a few other options that may be even cheaper or ultimately more efficient in time, reduced time to market for him as opposed to what he's doing now. And so he can do all this locally. So I think that's the long-winded way to answer your question. Yes.
So cadets was not something that you introduced early on, but it's something that you guys are doing. How did you come up with the idea of cadets, and can you kind of explain what cadets is?
Yeah. So the Makerspace Cadets is something that was actually one of our very first classes. I was just looking at classes the other day, cataloged every single thing that we've ever done this week. And so now I've got this giant document, but we've done Makerspace Cadets. And the reason that came about is Trevor and I were, sitting down going, all right, we're going to launch on this date. Here's what we want to do as precursors to start bringing in revenue. And Trevor goes, it'd be funny. Let's call these kids Space Cadets. And so we realized that calling kids Makerspace Cadets was a way that we could get that and turn it into a positive. And it was just Trevor's way to secretly laugh every single time we sent out a class. So that's where the cadets came from. Cadets we look at kids that are 7 and higher, do everything, teaching them how to program, to teaching them how to do blacksmithing, to 3D printing, to, you kind of name this out of here. This week we're working with flight. So we built a rocket launcher last week. They learned how to make paper-based rockets. And they're learning, how to launch these things, how to build together quickly and do rapid prototyping. So they find ways to fail. And ultimately, we want to teach them it's totally cool to fail. So they're inside of an environment that you'll find, with 20, 30 kids inside of here, you'll all find creative ways to fail. And you'll find creative ways to fix that and make things better. So during robotics, right, we did this thing. Next month, we have this day called NoBots Day. It's International Robot Building. And we're doing this in conjunction with Norfolk.js. So we did it last year. And from this, it's an all-day build where you learn how to build a robot from scratch, you learn how to program it, and then you come and fight them. And so this year we're doing not just the fighting robots, but now we're doing flying bots, and we're also doing water or boat-based bots. So no boats is what they call that. But going back to that, these kids looked at that. They come in real quickly. They put these bots together, and everybody loves stickers, right? Especially kids. So, they put stickers over top of the wheels. It turns out there's a screw that goes to a servo motor. And when you do that, and that it's connected to your material, connected to the screw, what's going to happen when that screw is connected and that servo turns? If you look at which way I'm going, I'm backing out, lefty loosey, righty tighty, right? So the wheel falls off. Turns out everybody's like, oh, we all stuck up on this. So all the kids break out, knives or whatever they can get access to, and they cut that part off. And so now, they all just rapidly prototyped all at once while these 2 other kids are battling. So they can see the failure point. And so they start making modifications, upgrades, and they're doing this while they're in the middle of their heat, getting ready to come up and battle to the next people. So this was the same, not just for kids, but they also battle adults. So there was, I think our oldest was 70 plus in there, and our youngest was probably 4 or 5. And it was a 10-year-old last year that won this, inside that BattleBot competition. So in terms of how that works, it's every Saturday, 10 a.m. And that was the first piece, just one, how can I entertain my own kids? I want to build a business that they can feel comfortable coming in after school, or other kids can. They can come with their families. They can make and create stuff. So the dollar store being nearby is like the greatest thing for a kid to run over here with $2 and come back in and hack it up, break it up, and make it into something else. And they've done something creative. Yes.
Question about the cadets. I have a son who he wants to launch his own sneaker line. So he has like a million drawings of all his sneakers that he's created.
Yeah.
He now wants to create a prototype. I know I don't have any idea where to start to get the material or, give him what he needs to do that. Is that something that he could come there and learn?
He would
how to
probably
do?
not do it through cadets, but if you come by, I would treat that like I do any other consultation. So people walk in, like today I had 3 people come by with different ideas, and they come in, they bring their idea at least as much as they can and say, here's what I'd like to do. And you look at that, and it's sort of like consulting, right? You kind of backtrack and say, all right, in order to do that, what do you know?
Mhm.
And sometimes you don't know what you don't know. For anybody that comes in and says, I know it all, we're not going to be able to help you until we break past that barrier. But most people have already been broken down to say, hey, look, I've got this idea. I just want to, make that part. And we'll figure out what it is. We'll add some classes inside of here. And those classes also become your support network. So we'll add other people to that. So the best thing we can do is, rather than be a one single teacher to one single person, is to involve other people in that class. And now, 2 months later, you can say, hey, Bill, what was this one thing that we did? Remember, we did something. So you've got this other network. And they may end up being your next business partners for things. So I would probably incorporate that. Sam Weatherly's going to be up here in a little bit. He's got this awesome 3D printer. One of his 3D printers has an extension that can do up to a size 9 shoe. So that might be another way to be able to tie in with that. So he's also done some work with that. So ultimately, I pull from when I get to know you and I find out you got a skill, I'm going to incorporate you somehow into this because it is a community. It's a way to give back, but it's also a way for you to get that out of your head and to be able to grow yourself.
I'm a size 12 Santa.
Yet. Always say yet. Yeah.
So,
Jen, I think you got a question.
Yeah, could you talk a little bit about the difference of your original concept business plan, even though it wasn't like really detailed, and compare that to some of the things that you had to shift and adjust and how you made those leaps and shifts?
Yeah, great question. So comparing to the original, you can't operate under the premise that if you build it, they'll come. You know, just because we've got a makerspace doesn't mean anything's going to be there. You know, one, in every other town or even inside the same town, someone else is going to come by and tell me they're opening a makerspace, or, you know, all of a sudden, you know, we're partnering with, you know, 4 other makerspaces that are going to open in 2 cities here, right? Like, I get stuff like this that pops up. And so for us, it was just realizing you can get past, you know, everybody wants to own a makerspace, or that if you just have a space, people are naturally going to come, and you find things that you like to do. So if I'm passionate enough to stay there in the middle of winter and keep myself going, we kind of go back to Chuck's question here. If you've got that piece, chances are it's going to be interesting enough to a few other people, and they'll kind of come along for the ride. But if you stop the bus and, you know, the bus doesn't go, and you're just hoping it's going to coast all the way to your destination, it's not. You got to keep things changing, things engaged. For us, it's always that balance of, you can do so much community outreach and teaching. There's also a balance of having to buy equipment, upgrade equipment, add stuff inside of here. So there's just kind of a fine dance. You know, I don't know the complete answer to it yet, other than I look forward to the next 2 weeks, and then I look forward to the next 2 weeks, and continue that. So that's kind of the drive. So resilience for me is just, if I don't look at things in that way, you know, it's real easy to get depressed or down in your businesses, you know, to kind of think, you know, how do I get started? Where do I go? How do I dig myself out of this whole finances, kids, you know, you can keep spiraling and spiraling. But if you could just say, look, you know, here's this thing that I want to learn, you know, the rest will keep happening. You just keep, you know, one foot in front of the other to get there. And at least that's how I've done it. So I don't know all the answers, but I keep finding things that attract people, that are interesting. And I can tell you, in the middle of winter, one of the coldest days we had 30 kids outside for a blacksmithing class. In the very back, we set up burn cans and s'mores and all this stuff. And then we ended up having 42 adults for the class right after. First, you know, one single forge inside of here, one single anvil. And we figured, you know, we might get a couple with this, and we were just blown away. So that tells me, you know, people want to be creative. They're going to come out. They're going to suffer through the harshest of conditions if you can make it interesting and if you care about it. You know, I went out to get s'mores. You know what would be cooler is, you know, we have s'mores to like fill this extra little bit of time. So you have to get creative as well, and people continue to come back from stuff like that.
Well, Turner, thank you so much.
Thanks.
Dave, let's move that over a little more. Do you want to stand on that? There? What do you want to say? Okay.
Paul, help me. Let's just move it here.
No, it's fine. Can you clip this? Or have him clip it?
So, you know, we do just like a real quick like overview of the system. And then
You want to move it up, and I'm gonna put this on it.
I'm not gonna print.
Yeah. You guys just behind it. You can go up as close as you want. All right.
So bright.
So bright.
Yeah. Wow.
I know, that's how we do it. Wayne, is the mic good? Cool.
All right. And to wrap up 15.2, we have a family affair, or a husband and wife duo
Never worked with your spouse,
that
by
has
the way.
seen it work, at least for the good right now. No, I'm just kidding. So they're going to talk about something that seems really, really exciting, but how this world crowdfunding may seem like an awesome thing, but how, and you achieve your goal, but how immediately that could shatter everything, but how you can be resilient to get out of that. So Sam and Adriana of MakerMex. Take it away.
Hi, how you guys doing? I do have to have notes, sorry. My name is Adriana Weatherly. Like he said, it's my husband, Sam. Sam, my brother, Luigi, and we have another partner, Juan Carlos, are the founders of MakerMex. We're a 3D printing company. We originally started in Mexico around like 3 years ago. What we started doing, it was like offering prototyping services. In Mexico, there's a big market for 3D printing. However, there's not really any companies that were doing any 3D printing or offering any kind of services there. So we saw this need. We started doing the prototype. We started growing really quick. And then we decided that we want to start doing our own printers. We started manufacturing them. We started doing really, really well. And me and Sam, we have lived here for like 8 years. We realized that we want to expand here into the United States, especially here into the Hampton Roads community. We knew this market was going to be a little bit different than what is in Mexico. There's obviously a lot more competition and a lot more advancement of what is in there. So we want to create something new, something unique, something different. So what we did is we started developing the MM1, which this is it. What makes us different, it has a unique modular design, which you have different modules. You actually can print with different materials having just the one printer. Things changes every day. There's new technology coming. So with this printer, one of the things is that you can adapt this printer to the new technology that is coming. You can either print. This is our paste extrusion, so you can print. Play-Doh, chocolate. We have dual extrusion module, which means you can print with 2 different colors. CNC light duty milling. We have one for it's like high temperature filaments and things like that. So to start expanding here in the United States, we knew we have to do something big. We needed the funding like everybody else. So Sam started talking to me about doing a Kickstarter. I have no idea what that meant. For those of you that do not know what Kickstarter is, it's like a crowdfunding campaign. What it does is like if you have a concept or an idea, you present it to the world. If people like it, it's like pre-sales, so they're going to go ahead and support you, even though if they really don't know you or anything like that. It sounds really easy, but it's not. It's a lot of things that are involved into doing a Kickstarter campaign. Real quick, what you need to do to launch a Kickstarter campaign.
It's not real quick, by the way. Not real quick.
You can get backers from all over the world, but not anybody from any country can do a Kickstarter. One of the things is there's only few countries that have access to this platform. Most of them are English-speaking countries. Obviously, United States, USA, Canada, United States, Canada, Australia, United Kingdom, England. Actually, Spain is in there as well, and there's actually a few others. One of the requirements are you have to be 18 years or older. You have to be a resident of that country. You have to have, obviously, a valid ID, major credit card. They do a lot of background because, obviously, if all these people from all over the world are giving you money, they want to make sure, it's not going to be like fraud or anything like that. So there's a little bit of work in that area. Also, one of the things, the way it works when you start this campaign, you set up some goals. You don't want to go like, for instance, what we did, we set up a $50,000 goal. It depends on your product. Some of them, obviously, depending where you're selling, some of them, they're going to be like higher goals, but you don't want to set up your goal too high because what happens is if you don't reach your goal, the campaign doesn't get funded and you don't get any of that money or anything like that to get your product on.
And about the goal, setting the goal is kind of was a really difficult thing to think about because you have to start to think about production numbers and what do you really need? I mean, everyone would like to be like, I want $1 million, but you have to set a realistic goal that you think, one, would get funded, and two, that is really going to help you achieve what the Kickstarter is there for, and that's to help launch your company. And we had already been manufacturing 3D printers, but we just needed that extra boost to finish the development of this platform. And so we set that number at a point where we knew if we had this dollar amount, we would be able to achieve that little bit of extra boost to get us over the edge to get this out and get it market ready. So that's kind of how you set your goal. You really got to think about what you need and not just, oh, let's just set it at 200,000 or let's set it at 100,000. You know, it's really, it has a purpose. So you get, a lot of thought has to go into that.
Yeah. And there's also several rules. You cannot do a Kickstarter campaign also for like a charity or anything like that. So there's some guidelines. You have to include the logos, banners that have to be certain sizes. And there's a lot more involved into it. There's three things. It's a pre-campaign, during the campaign, and the after campaign. Pre-campaign, things that are very, very important to do before anybody wants to do a Kickstarter campaign. First of all, marketing. I think that's the most important thing. The reason why you don't want to wait till the day that you launch to start getting people or knowing that your product, you want to make sure like people already know about you, what's happening, when it's coming, so you're ready. If you start really strong, it's most likely it's a good sign for a good successful campaign. What we did for marketing, we hire a third-party companies based out of North Carolina. The reason why we do that, because we know there's a lot of good marketing people here, and as well as our partnerships in Mexico. The reason why is because we want to have somebody that knew or had experience with Kickstarter. Unfortunately, we didn't know anybody has done a Kickstarter before, just whatever was on the internet. And this company has previously done several campaigns. One of them was a bunch of balloons. I don't know if anybody saw it. It's pretty much water balloons for parties. It's like a lot of balloons into the one. You just hook it up, you turn the water on, and within a minute, you have 100 balloons fill up with water for your party.
At the time we contracted with them, they had ran and helped market 83 successful campaigns. So they were I did a lot of research to find companies who knew how to market for a Kickstarter and not just general marketing companies. And they were the company that I found that had the highest success rate, the most launch campaigns. So we chose to use them just specifically so they knew how to target market. And they had even launched a 3D printer, helped another 3D printer manufacturer launch their Kickstarter campaign. So they had a little bit of previous knowledge about how to market a 3D printer.
Yeah. This company, real quick, so you know, their goal was $10,000, and they within a period of 30 days, they raised almost $1 million. So that's what we were very excited to work with them. What we did for marketing with them, obviously they did the marketing, but we have to do all the work. We have the content, we have the pictures, we have to do all our designs. They did a lot of press releases. We did Facebook. Capturing people's emails is very important. A lot of times nobody's just gonna go ahead and just give you your email. You have to do incentives. For that, what we did, we offer any person that will give us their email so they can get information about our product. We were doing raffle, and they will be winning a 3D printer. So that's what we did in a couple of months. Actually, we're gonna announce the winner. We already have it, but we're waiting for the finished product to be ready. These same company are the ones that picked up the winner. So we did not have anything to do with the winner of this. We also did obviously Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. And also there's a process after you do all these steps, you have to get approved through Kickstarter. So they have to go ahead and read your content, make sure everything works with the rules and guidelines and things like that.
Everything has to be submitted to Kickstarter prior to the release of the campaign. So you pretty much, you're doing all your pre-marketing 30 days in advance or 45 days in advance. And I remember Kickstarter is normally, most Kickstarters are 30 days. You can choose to do a 60-day campaign, but most people aren't doing 60-day campaigns. 30 days. So you have 30 days to hit the world with your product. So you need to start marketing in advance to get your information out in front of everybody. So then everything has to be submitted to Kickstarter, and they have to approve all the content. They have to approve your video, which can take 2 weeks. You never know how long it can actually take. They have to approve all your pictures. You're not allowed to use any renderings. Everything has to be actual real products because they don't want any digital rendering. If they find digital renders in your campaign, they can close your campaign right in the middle. And even though you see some out there, they kind of slide through the cracks because there is so many Kickstarter campaigns that get in, and you're allowed to change your campaign in the middle. So you can swap your video out or change your images or whatever. So some of this we didn't really know. And so we submit all this stuff and we work so hard and got all these awesome renders, and they're like, can't use any of it. And it was 4 days before the launch, they found something in our video and they said, you're not allowed to use this video because there's a small piece that's rendered. And even though that was clearly rendered, and it wasn't like we were trying to pull the wool over it, I mean, there's a piece spinning, you could see the head. We had to go in and completely change the video and take that piece and make it just a wireframe model instead of being an actual digital render. So, I mean, here it is crunch time. We got our videographer and our designers, and they're all working to get this piece back together, because everything in our pre-marketing campaign says we're launching this date. So if you don't launch that date, what do you do? Yeah, so it was a little stressful.
Talking about the video, it's very important. I think a lot of people, they want to do the personal side of your business. So you're presenting yourself. You're telling them why they support you, why you're presenting, things like that. So from all the successful campaigns, 50% they do have a video, 30% they did not. So if you're looking forward to do a Kickstarter campaign, having a video is very important. Like I said, especially I think it's a personal touch. People, they can see you and they can know what you're doing. Another thing I have to set up as well is the rewards. Like I said, this is not people are just giving you the money, you give them then something back. So that's another thing that you have to work on. We have several rewards. The first one obviously started at $1. You get a thank you note from us. The next one that we did, it was a $5, which they will get like an infographic about 3D printing. We did also a t-shirt, $30. Most of them, they were actually friends and family that did our t-shirts. It was also interesting looking at the designs and like if you want a V-neck or the regular neck. And then you have to do like an early bird special. So you set up like different levels, different tiers. So for the early bird, it was like 10 printers for $9.99. The next one was $11.49, and then you get a limited edition, $11.99. That was $11.49. $11.99. You can customize it or have your name engraved. And then our Vedas was $12.99. After that one was $14.99, but we never got to that level. Everything else got there.
The objective of doing a lower early bird entry level, first backers, first supporters that are, it was $500 off of retail, is you want to feel that campaign early. You want to incentivize people, and you want to market this when you're going in, and you say, if your product's going to be $80, but you're going to launch it on Kickstarter and you're going to do $39.95 specials. All your marketing material says $39.95 on Kickstarter, because then everyone's going to run to the Kickstarter and try to get it for that lower price. And that's going to what happens with Kickstarter is when Kickstarter starts to see that first day of a lot of activity on your campaign, they're going to put you on the front page of Kickstarter. They're going to include you in their marketing materials, and that's just going to fuel your campaign even further. So having that first day launch is really, really important to really hit the market hard and kind of get that viral edge,
Yeah. Another thing very important, time frames to set up. A lot of times, like I said, their concepts, ideas is not really something that is developed. So you can kind of estimate the time frames of what something, how long it's going to take you to get to that point. But once you start developing, you find out that there's a lot of things that will set you back. We had a prototype before that. We thought we were going to be able to have a printer ready. Our Veda's estimated time was actually January. After we finished the campaign, we started in October and we funded beginning of November. We thought actually we we're going to be able to surprise all our backers, and our printers will be ready by before Christmas.
Wrong.
Yep.
Ask me when we shipped. When did we ship? Like a week ago. 2
Yes.
weeks ago. Yeah.
What happened? And sorry, I was in the back and missed it, but you guys had issues with shipments too.
Yeah, definitely.
It's been a lot of things. What happened originally with our prototype that led us into the shipping, it was like we want to provide with quality, obviously, printer for all these people that are giving you the trust. They don't know you anything. So the bed was shaking a little bit. Then we have to change all the design for this, and then you can talk probably about the changes more.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is actually the beta machine. So this is the beta machine that we sent out to all of our Kickstarter backers, and you can still see it's not quite finished yet. You have kind of cables hanging out. We're still working on cleaning up connectors, stuff like this. This one will actually be at the makerspace. So everything you see here, all the modules, all the thing, will be at the makerspace. Rock on, right? So
Make on.
Yeah, make on. So as far as iterations, I had an early version of this one at my house still. Man, I think we lost track of how many design changes we made, like to this belt tensioning system, because we found a flaw. I think we went through 9 different types, but it's easy because we 3D print them. So if there's something wrong with it, we change the design and we print another one, right? So it allows us to adapt quickly. This is, I think, the 4th generation of paste extrusion systems. I mean, if you see our alphas, it's crazy. We started with some of them were wood, because wood was cheap and easy, and we could change it really quickly and make quick changes with wood. And then we start getting into smaller versions or longer versions or taller versions, and the evolution of the product. It's amazing how much changes. And then you get ready for the Kickstarter and you think we have a really solid version, and you realize not quite yet. So I think we changed it at least 10 more times, just simple things to help refine it and help refine it and help refine it. But you get to the point where you're like, we got to get this thing out in beta and give it to our customers. So
Yeah.
that's what the beta team signs up for. They know that they're getting an early production model. They know they're there to help finish refinement and get it full production ready for that.
Yeah. So finally, beginning of May, talking about the time frames real quick, we're really excited because we're gonna do the first test for shipping. Because then you have to figure out also about shipping, customs, and all those things from every and each country. We have actually 10 different countries that purchase from us. So then having to know like the different guidances and things like that. So beginning of May, we're out of town. We come home. I was supposed to have this shipment for the betas, all the US betas actually, to start shipping the next day after we come back from vacation. We're tired after driving like 8-9 hours. We go home, but we're excited. Yeah.
From Disneyland.
We're excited. We opened the first box, damaged.
It was like Christmas because they shipped us 10 units that we were gonna disperse to the US backers. And our neighbor put them in our garage for us. So we get home, after this long drive, you open the garage door and you see all of our Maker Mix crates stacked up right in front of the garage door. And we're like, yes! Because we've been waiting too. Like, we want these things to get in our customers' hands. We open them up and we start to see some of the boxes maybe look a little tweaked or you start popping crates open and you start seeing damaged pieces. And the first one we opened was pretty bad. And so you start to think, oh, there's 9 more that we have to, But luckily there was only a few that were severe damage, but every one of them showed up with some sort of damage.
Yeah. So next thing you know, call my brother in Mexico. You have to come here and help me. Sam still has his full-time job, so he doesn't have that much time. I can try to fix it myself, but I'm not like that side of the business, I guess. So my brother comes here. 2 days later, my house turns into a little factory. We wake up really early. We go to bed really late at night, fixing all these printers, making sure all the parts are there. Some of the printers, actually, they're missing parts. So now I'm calling Mexico too after my brother is here. Hey, we need this, and that because you did not include it. So I'm doing like checklists. It's almost like started from the beginning. I was very happy to say 5 days later, all the printers were ready to go. We shipped them, we fixed them all over US backers. Now they got the printers. Out of those 7 that we actually shipped, only 1 got some damage. And we're actually working on that right now with them. And the good thing, like we said, our backers are very supportive. So I told him, I was like, I know you were expecting a printer. I can either ship you a new one. It takes a long time to put it together. He decided to fix them himself. So I guess that's what Makers does, right? They do like to fix things. So we're going to be sending him the parts and he'll be fixing it himself. But a lot of support from that.
So what originally happened was when we shipped 1 unit to the US, 1 crated unit, and it was to test the shipping process, to test our packaging, because we'd never shipped internationally before, and especially an assembled unit. So we had been pushed back so far that we finally shipped our 1 unit and it got stuck at the border, and it was delayed. And Mexico, and they made the decision, like, we're good, the packaging is fine, let's just do it. So they shipped the other 9 units. If we would have waited another week, we would have had no problems with our shipping. But you get to the point where you're like, we got to get these done. We feel so delayed already that you start making decisions, and maybe that wasn't the best decision.
The printers that they send the week after arrived before than the original shipment. So yeah, because we did the wrong shipping.
And all the damage was primarily just packaging issues. It was just because we didn't understand the concept of really how to package these so well. So we made all the changes and we're good to roll.
Yeah, we're still working on that. Okay, so that was for the time frame. So obviously, there's a lot of things delaying, but we're getting there. Well, at least right now the betas are out and everybody's really excited. During the campaign, I feel like I was in Vegas. The very first day we launched, I usually have coffee with one of my friends once a week, and that day happened her to come to my house. And she said, "Have you checked yet?" We launched at 9 o'clock in the morning. It was 10 o'clock. I was running with the kids. I was like, "No." So I go ahead and log into my Kickstarter and start looking, $4,000 in there already. I was like, wow. And then 15 minutes later, 5,000, 6,000. By the end of the day, we were at 16,500. I thought I was hitting the lottery. I was so excited. Next day, same thing. We started like in the morning, like a lot of people were backing us. Third day, nothing. Fourth day, nothing. Fifth day, cancellations. So it was like a big roller coaster.
Yes, you are allowed to cancel a Kickstarter.
So
Yeah.
it's
I didn't even know you could cancel. Once you backed, I thought you were in. And then I see what negative. And you get an email, so and so canceled. What?
uh-huh. So then you start thinking, what am I doing wrong? Is that something that we did or we didn't do? And then you're answering all these emails. So during the campaign, you also do things to incentivize all your backers. Some of the things that we did, it was like we thought probably we're priced a little bit high, but we knew we could not go any lower than that because we knew our cost. So I was like, maybe there's some market there, but they're not ready for that. So we decided to incorporate it like a kit, which means they'll have to build their own printers themselves. We did it for $3.99. So we were thinking maybe that was the way to go instead of sending assembled printers with electronics and everything. We did 5 backers out of $3.99, which is really good. We're very happy. It did help. Also, what we did is we offer customization. Originally, it's usually like a black and orange besides the Kickstarter limited edition. So then we started offering to all our backers. If you have a school, if you have a company, you want to have your own colors, you can choose your acrylic, your printed parts, or anything that you wanted. So that was another
We're doing
incentive.
anything to incentivize to keep the campaign fresh, because the first couple of days was really hot and heavy, and then all of a sudden you just don't see any movement. You're like, okay, what can we throw out? What can we market now to say that we're changing, we're doing this, we're adding this, we're allowing this, we're doing, just try to keep some activity.
So 5 days before we ended the campaign, we funded. It was very excited, but then with the cancellations, you will be funded, then you were not. So there's what they call like a stretch goal. You can do that as well. So once you're already at your goal, you can say, okay, if we hit this new goal, what's gonna happen? You incentivize. So you put like a new reward if you want to see it that way. So our next goal was to hit the 70,000. We were like at some point like 60,000. So what we did is we were offering to have a bigger platform. So that way they can print like bigger prints. We didn't make it, but we to that stretch goal. But we ended up at 57,000. No, 57,500. I don't even remember. The point is that we funded in October. After the campaign, so all the excitement is there. We funded. Now we have to work. First, obviously, you have to thank your backers. That's what makes me every day be excited about what I do. Knowing all these people from all over the world, all the support they have been giving us without knowing us, I don't want to let them down. So that's what I've been working so hard. I want to make sure that whenever they get the printers, they're happy. So contact with them, doing updates, telling them what's happening, the reason of the delays, the new things, what's happening with the company, where we're going, sending surveys. Right now, we're in the process that we mentioned before. The betas are out. We're going to be working with them for the next few months. And then the rest of our backers, Nisha here is actually one of our backers here. So thank you. They will be receiving her finished product. And we're really excited to see what else is going to come up with the printer. In this area, Hampton Roads style. I think one of our missions, we have seen a lot of people there. There's not much awareness of what 3D printing is, what it can do. So I'm thinking we've been talking about like creating more awareness of 3D printing as well as on the educational side. People, they need to know how to use these machines because there's no point of having these awesome machines if you don't know how to really use them or if you don't even know what you can do with them. You want to add anything?
Tips and tricks during the campaign, I think it's important. We kept what we called pocket backers. we knew we had some people who were going to back us. You know, maybe they were a friend of the family or a member like that. And we used those like mid-campaign when we kind of slowed down to kind of make it look like we weren't so slow, you know, because we knew that they were going to fund and you get the first day hype, and we knew we'd been marketing so heavy that we were really going to get that. The first few days was really going to be a feel for us, and we were hoping that it would just launch from there. But when you slow down and you go a day or two with no backer, you throw in one of your pocket backers just to make it look like your campaign still has a little activity. That was something that we just kind of adapted in about 2 weeks into our campaign. We also, mid-campaign, we decided to launch a CNC milling head, and we did that. It's just a variable speed motor on our module platform, and pretty much what that is like a Dremel attached to your platform, so you can now CNC instead of 3D print, which is cutting. And we saw Inventables had launched the Carvey about the same time that we launched this, and we had always been playing CNC, but we were focused on 3D printing, and the CNC market was so flooded already, we thought. But then we saw the Carvey launch, and it did incredible. So we were like, hey, let's just throw it out there. And we literally had nothing. We had a picture of one of these adapters, which was like 4 generations ago, this printed part. We had a picture of this motor that our other partner, our head of engineering, just had laying around because he's crazy like that. And he has all kinds of cool stuff. So this was just laying around, and we had some wires, and we just laid it out on the table and took a picture, and we threw it out there as a module. We're like, hey, we have a CNC module now. And people started buying it, and we were like, oh, now we have to figure out how to make a CNC module. So little things like that just to keep things interesting, you know. So
Questions? Yep.
Can this produce jewelry?
It could prototype jewelry, yeah, definitely. It won't print metals.
You still have to ask the girl though.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I'm talking about. I have friends in Ethiopia.
Mm-hmm.
I'm Jews, and I have friends that jewelry makers in Ethiopia.
Okay.
I wonder if I can ship one.
Yeah, we can ship one to them, sure, no problem.
They
Yeah.
can probably print the wax molds.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, yeah, or you could prototype.
See?
I was just wondering, so are those parts you actually use the 3D printer to make the 3D printer?
Everything you see that's green is 3D printed.
Okay, so the
yeah.
white paneling and the
That's
metal
incredible.
struts are all.
Yeah, we just made with simple components. Really, is how they're put together, and it's designed to come apart really easily and be adapted and changed. And that's kind of our whole philosophy behind printing. Instead of being like a big box manufacturer, where when you order your printer, that's what you get. Our printer is made to be adapted. You know, it's made to come apart easily, made to expand, made to change, made to design your own modular systems. You know, these are all the different heads, and so these just swap on and off really easy. You can come up with your own. You can, share your ideas. You can refine ours. It's all open source. So everything you see is, you can have all the source files. You can print your own pieces. Yeah. Yeah, you can. This is the paste extrusion. All this is really a lot of really cool, awesome design parts to squeeze a syringe. That's all it does, right? But it does it with this little motor, and we dial in the extrusion speed, and we have a bunch of hoses.
Can you share what the paste extruder might put out?
Yeah, Yeah, so all it does is it's going to squeeze through a syringe, it's going to come out this tube, and it's going to come out little pipe tips. And I thought I had some around here. But so we have different diameter tips, right? Like that come out of a syringe. So you can load anything in there that you want that's paste-like material. So chocolate or peanut butter for consumables, cake frosting, pancake batter. I mean, anything, cake batter, cookie dough, as far as consumables go. We're working trying to develop some sugars that will cure quickly when they hit the oxygen, so we can be able to print and build different things with
You can do this chocolate chips in the cookie dough too, or just cookie dough?
Just the cookie dough. Chocolate chips are a little chunky. So, but you can also do things like clay, ceramic, silicone, pretty much anything you could put into a syringe, you could try to print with it, and that's what we encourage. So you can change the extrusion speed, so you can change how fast this motor puts it out, or depending on the diameter tip, when we ship, I think we ship with 15 different tip diameters. So depending on the material that you want to try to 3D print with, try a different tip, try a different speed. It's very experimental.
Sure.
You mentioned the campaigns now, they're typically like 30 days on them. How much pre-work did you actually have to do in the campaign? Yeah, 30 days is a short period, but we guarantee, because I know you guys were at a lot longer than that.
Oh, yeah.
We started 4 months before?
4 months before our pre-marketing campaign is when we started like getting pictures taken and started writing scripts, and we had contacted our marketing company that we were going to work with to kind of guide us. We didn't really contract a marketing company to do the whole campaign. They just were kind of like, they were consultants pretty much. We had to put everything together and make all the materials and things like that. So yeah, it was several months in the making prior to even the pre-marketing campaign. So
Woody?
Well, I was going to ask about the software.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, you have software for all the platforms, but is that open source as well?
Yes, it is. It's the software we prefer for slicing, which would be preparing your 3D model for the print itself, is Cura. It's kind of what we use, but there's Slicer, there's Repetier Host, there's lots of other softwares that will be supported on this platform as well. So anything pretty much that's open source.
So there's a common output that any software you just put it out there.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it creates what's called a G code. So it's like old CNC language. So all it is a bunch of numbers. If you look at it in a text file, it's just a bunch of numbers that says this motor go here, this motor go there, this motor go there. And it just line by line by line, each layer by layer by layer. So there's lots of softwares that can create that.
Steve, another question?
No, I was actually just going to ask though, what was it? Lost my train of thought. With the Kickstarter, if during that time that you started, now I go on there quite often, but I didn't start till a few months ago. I noticed 3D printers are everywhere on there. I mean, were you in there when there was still all like a lot of people in there in the same space, or were you kind of the first?
I would
No, late.
go ahead.
No,
Yeah.
go ahead.
No, please.
I think when the big thing about the 3D printing and the Kickstarter, I think we were after the fact. Once we launched ours, there was a few more in there, I think, at the same time. And I think it was a little bit harder. I think if we would have launched like 6 months before, we would have done a lot better.
I would say maybe even earlier than that. Like 2013, you could pretty much throw any 3D printer on Kickstarter and it was going to fund it accordingly. Just boom. But we were after the hype of any 3D printer is going to fund. That's kind of when we came in. There was kind of a lull where there were some really cool 3D printers that came out that were really awesome or incredibly cheap. Those funded well. So we really had to highlight and focus what made ours different than all these other 3D printers that you've already seen hit the market and the Kickstarter community has already seen. So we really focused on the modular systems and how you can grow your printing experience. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right, last question.
What is the cost of
$10,000. Where'd you say you were shipping them again? No, this is $1,500, the base platform. Modules run anywhere from like $299 for the paste system to $149 for like our Flexi. Where's Flexi? Flexi's awesome because this thing has been adapted and modified, this tension system, to be able to print these really cool soft materials like rubber and other flexible soft materials because they're kind of tricky to print with. And a lot of printers kind of struggle to do them because they can create too much pressure, or the tensioning system that drives the filament through can grind into the soft filaments. So we really worked hard to refine this tensioning system. So this one's a really cool one if anyone's interested.
All right, that is it. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
All right, we're gonna wrap things up. 10 minutes left, that's it. You guys are live on Periscope right now. Say hello to the camera. Come on. Only about 30 of you guys did that. This is ridiculous. Deanie Dormer, you're one of them who did not. Take two. Now only Deanies don't doing it. Say hi. Someone says Deanie. What is that about Deanie? I can't say that loud. It was a joke. You're not even live. All right. So we're going to go over this real quick. Want to hear what some of the best quotes of the day were that you guys thought.
Pain before pleasure.
And who said that? Jim. Pain before pleasure. Jim White. We can just go in order with Jim. Jim White's best quotes.
Don't sell dreams for other people's opinions.
Georgia?
Horizontal and vertical program.
I like to make a marathon out of life.
Anyone else? What about Steve?
Going sideways is going forward.
Never take money from a future ex-wife.
Can you say that again? We got to get that on camera a little
Never
bit.
take money from a future ex-wife.
The sideways one with Steve is great.
See every person in the library.
Yeah, I got that one too.
Pay attention.
Great. What about Chip Dodd from 15.1?
Oh, yeah, you one of the better ones. I guess it was, sometimes you gotta get your Spock on before you do something too quirky.
Hey, it's Thursday, so it's a TBT, right? You know, we got to do it. What about Frank?
He said, life's a beautiful journey with lots of big bumps.
What is your why?
What's your why? That was great.
And you have to get out there to make it happen.
Your mission should be unified.
What I thought was interesting about him is he lost 95% of his staff the day he changed his mantra, basically, right? And he still is crushing it. That was incredible to me. I mean, and now, what's that?
He's more successful.
He is now, but at first,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, you lose 95% of your staff. I mean, that's a big number to lose of your staff. That was crazy to hear. Congratulations on winning your mug. So, what was your favorite Dennis Gray quote?
Thank you.
Thank you. That was it.
You said congratulations. I was saying because we get ready. Look, man, I was doing okay. When money is a motivator and money's not coming in, you'll give up. I thought that was interesting. You don't have to have it so close to me.
It's actually not that close, but don't worry.
When money is a motivator and money's not coming in,
Thank you, Dennis.
you give up.
What was your favorite quote of the day?
My favorite quote of the day was, "Keep your why."
Here you go. Thank you for being here.
I had another one too.
Dennis, again.
Oh god. Don't enjoy the highs too much, and also don't sit in the valleys.
That was great. That was a good one.
Don't be afraid to ask for what you want, need, or try to find.
Yep. Alex?
Oh.
It's a, sorry.
Well, yeah.
Did someone not take all of hers?
Broken clocks are still right twice a day.
That's
That's a
good.
crazy quote, by the way.
I mean, but it's a good quote to keep in mind in business.
Last time I checked, Jay-Z's worth more than all of us
Yeah,
combined.
all right.
I think.
Yeah.
Chip?
I got two. It was the Wonder Something.
This is Dennis?
Yeah, I got that.
Yeah.
And never stop learning.
I thought the book part, where he has more books than
The music
music.
library.
That was great.
Book library, music library.
And he also said, make sure your why includes other.
Anyone else with Dennis?
Don't try to master everything, but align yourself with good partners.
Bo Turner?
Best quote of the day.
Oh, look at his dimple.
757 Makerspace is gym membership for the brain.
Yeah, that's good. I like that.
So you tweet that.
This isn't a direct quote, but it was interesting. This agile development doesn't just apply to software.
Yep. So someone just asked what we're watching here. So this is Execute 15.2. This is the wrap-up day, live on Periscope. But what was your favorite quote of the day? Bo?
Yeah.
Sorry. Anyone else? Bo?
Yeah, I like how he was talking about how $35 doesn't seem like a lot, but it was enough to keep the internet on that one. I like that whole thing.
Yeah. Where are you getting $35 internet? That's really the key.
It's a short-term winter special.
There you go.
That $35 was thanks to Linda Nickelback.
There you go.
Yes.
Any other Bo Turner quotes? Yo, what was your favorite quote of the day?
Embrace fear, man. Embrace it. I mean, I'm probably paraphrasing it, but it's the fear. You gotta embrace the fear.
And who are you?
Who am I?
Yeah.
I'm your whole show. The Captain sucks.
Thank you. And finally, Sam and Adriana, what were your favorite quotes for them?
I feel like it's the lottery.
I feel like it's the lottery.
Or shoot, yeah, I'm in Vegas, right? And just like in Vegas, the next day you're losing a lot. Right? That was good. Anyone else?
Yeah.
Realistic goals. Help or be helped.
I like the advice about the pocket backer because that's something I wouldn't have thought of
Right.
initially, but that's something that seems like it'll be extremely important if you're not fit to try to jump in.
That was great.
Yeah.
All right. We'll turn this off. Figure out how to do it. You don't do that yet. I'm going to save this. All right. Keep this. I know a lot of you guys kept this last time. That's why we did it again this time. Think of these quotes. Save them throughout your days. Think about your immediate goals and how to incorporate takeaways into your goals. We're going to do this again in about 3 months. So thank you guys for coming. A little inside information that we haven't told anyone else yet, but we'll tell you guys is the idea is to incorporate this at our 4th one into our State of the Startup Community address. Make this the first half of the day, then have a happy hour from 5 to 6 or 7, and then do the address immediately following that. With a couple hundred people at a venue somewhere else. I did not just say a data point. With some amount of people, not a couple hundred people. If we get a couple hundred, that would be awesome. But as always, any feedback that you guys have is extremely important to us. Who do you guys want to see? The idea is that we only have people that could potentially be in your shoes. So while someone that might be a powerful leader, CEO at a big company, but has never started that company, we're not looking for that person. We're looking for the person that's gone through those growing pains and understands what you and I are going through every day. So they have to be an entrepreneur and had to have started that company, not taken over a company that someone else started. But I thank you guys for being here. There's still some beverages. Thank you to our sponsors, SBDC, 80/20, and to our 6.5 or 7 speakers that presented today. We will see you guys in a few months. Thank you very much. Take care.